Do have demos. It's big. Status. Status actually 13th of July. So this one was merge, delete, and publish buttons in backoffice content. Delete and unpublish buttons. Delete and unpublish buttons. In the admin. Okay. From Android. Benedict will do it. What you go? Lots of commits. This one, 9.8. Okay, so it's going. Fix for shell context reference counting from shell scopes. Reference counting fix. Goes disposing counting while disposing addition. So much interlock like that. That is dangerous.
Oh, that's just resetting a test HTTP context.
Oh, it's in the test. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Worst case, I would have...
The original issue here was that the service provider could be disposed before the shell scope was actually done with it, because the reference count of the shell context was released too early.
I was saying worst case here. I would have restored the value from before.
Yeah, this is there is no HTTP context at this stage because it's running inside the shell scope of the server, but without an HTTP context. We have some references hanging around in all the tests because the sites are static, and I was trying to release some memory, but this does not actually fix anything, so could also be reverted.
Okay. Indexing migrations, better migrations. Something interesting here. Here. In yeah, so this pattern, get kit service and unable to find implementation, maybe it's get required kit service.
No, because we don't want to throw an exception. We just want to ignore it, but we want to log it.
Okay. That's weird. Migration improvements, then prevent maintenance workflow to run on forks. Oh, that's me. Yes, some people do fork Orchard and apparently say they want to run the workflows from Orchard. So these ones, they should not be run outside of our repository. They are maintenance workflow. So now let's check. If it's not our repo, don't run this one. Nobody needs that. It will just add links to our repo. Add a delay to make your test reliable. Make sure it worked. Did it work? Not sure it worked.
It worked, but now it fails again.
It didn't work. Was not it.
We have some test errors at the moment.
Okay.
Not all related to this one, but also.
New badge if the user is locked on the user. Respect list path items ordering. But not respecting it before. Query list items count. Query list item. Go first with check. That's the same constraints. It is count async, list async. But this one, order by order, then by ID. Okay. But the order was not taken into account. Improve documentation for indexing material. Those I will not have reflected this word in the doc. It's like we needed something in the class name because index is taken. So we need something in the class name, but still an index. So we could not use the word index in the class name. So we had to add something that is not that so stupid. So we went for profile, but the any index I think is still good. In the UI, it should still be indexed. Everything should be indexed. It's just a class. It's called.
Yeah, but the class is called index profile because it's not an actual index. It's a profile for an index. But then like resetting index, right? That is like so you're resetting an index. You're not resetting index profile. But in this case, you're creating or updating index profile. You're not creating or updating an index. So that's the only different. But yeah, the UI, it's all show index. At least as far as I remember. It's been so many changes.
Boo, boo, what are these? Shame on you. Tabs. That was copy pasting. Okay. Okay. Add a taxonomy query filter. Taxonomy query filter to enable control of taxonomy-based query. So there is a new service, high content taxonomy list filter, that anyone can implement. They choose so to customize the query that is used to load content items that are tagged with the taxonomy term. For instance, if you wanted to order your blog post by something else than the creation date, you could create your about or add a field to a blog post, and then create a custom filter that would order the query by this custom field. Interface here. You get the current query on the content item that is limiting the content items for the current taxonomy, and you can edit this query. And you also get the term that this query will be loading all the content items for. And then some refactoring, some things moved for the module. So yeah, we need reset index profile to rebuild index profile. It's a step. To make changes. We'll use default index profile. It's all about profile indexes. Use default index profile name instead of default index profile ID. And some other name. Serialization issues. And handle. It's surprising that it doesn't work like this. Is it because this converter is not handled by that call? That would be weird. Index step. AnalyzerName. All these for the indexing. So to begin. Shortcodes dependency and S3 module. Update the dependency. And works. Yes. Update identity packages and also more synchronize button. Indexing. Synchronize. What synchronize with that we said already.
It manually triggers the indexing process, so it resumes it.
Synchronize. That's a weird name. It's like there are two sources, they have to update each other. Synchronize. Okay, then synchronize the sync. Okay, select synchronize and sync. It doesn't do anything. I'm confused. I'm coming back here.
The handlers do the work.
It's weird because
each index takes care of indexing its own service or process.
I went to the interface. And it said invoked when has been synchronized. I'm like, okay, what has been done to the thing? Well, nothing has been done actually. So I wouldn't expect it to just be an event handler to tell me, okay, something was done or is being done, but nothing is done. It's just to say that this is at this moment that you can do something, you can synchronize. Creation, update, or deletion. So show update is the synchronize. So synchronize here. Synchronize build. Okay. Synchronize, I found one. Content index file handler.
Maybe call it process indexing.
I was saying, like, even in the doc, you see it was saying it either creating, updating, or deleting an index. And that's why these two is
which we already have. We still have those.
Index. It's not updating then.
We still have update.
So what? I don't understand this one.
So updating an index is basically saving the record. But in this case, we want to index the content items or index whatever data we have and take it and process it and store it into the remote index.
Yeah, that's why and to me, that's what is called updating the index. Or is there actually two things? Because here it's called profile and it's not called.
There is one that's called update already and updating, but maybe we can call it indexing instead of synchronizing.
Be better, yeah, for me. But so are there two things that I'm not understanding, like indexing profile, so index profile and index? I didn't teach just. I don't see why we use this word
index
profile.
It tells you information about the index, and then the index is created using that profile because the profile will tell you like the name, the service provider, the type of data it's storing. So it's a profile of the index, and then once you save it. Or once you create it, you will create an index out of it.
But when you say you create an index, you mean the physical thing in the service.
Correct.
So you are comparing a class name and the physical thing. So to me, they are the same thing. The class name is the class of the thing. We could not call it index because index is a reserved word somewhere that we were colliding in system.index. So we could not use the class index. So we use the class name IndexProfile because there was a collision with the word index. So there are not two different things. This is the class representing an index. It happens to be named index profile because index is already reserved. So I don't see why we keep saying that there is an index profile and there is an index. No. Index profile is the class representing an index. Content item is the class representing the content item. This is the same thing. So
isn't it more the settings about the index? And
Correct.
the actual
That's why
index
it's called
build
profile.
is the provider. It's either Lucene or Elastic, etc.
So if you look at the index profile, there is a property in there that's called index name.
well, you could have called it name.
Well, because we have a name, which is the profile name, which is a unique thing. So it represents.
Okay, I get it. So name. So what would be the name in this case?
It's a unique thing, whatever it is that you want. It's like
an
ID.
Okay. Yeah, that's an ID, but you call it name. So there is a name and there is an ID. It's just that you use the word name, but we mentioned that it was just an ID. Oh, there is ID also. So okay, so a unique name for the index, unique ID, and there is an index name which is unique also in the thing.
It's unique to the service, but not to our setup.
Our stuff. Yeah, this is the thing in the service, and this is the thing in our setup. And I remember in your demo there was some kind of random ID generated in the UI, and I say, why don't we just use the name because it's unique, and make it this name unique? It's like technical name, so we don't need the ID because we have a technical name for index, whichever it is, and then we could have a display name, like a technical name display name, like we have for content types. There is article lowercase and there is article with an upper A, because this is the one that we want to display or localize. So we should have two things here: technical name and a display name. Not maybe 3 things. Or if we have 3 things, that's the thing inside. Okay, but still, yeah, it's the class representing an index. We just can't call it index, so we call it index profile. But it's the class representing an index.
It's representing the index settings, but not the index.
That's interesting. It's a one-on-one, right? There is one. That's, yeah, it's almost philosophical. But if I take anything, oops, caching is the name. I want to use like we have a module class representing a module as properties for this module. It's the class representing the module. That's hard to say. Yeah. And it was called index before, right? Or no, there was not something called index before. Or it's a new thing because you have to, yeah, it's stored in the database. This thing is stored in the database. But it's represented, okay, profile. Yeah, it's like, yeah, all these events about, oh, you are just changing the profile. It's not the thing about the index. Nothing is happening to the index. It's happening to the profile. It's wrong. It's happening to the index.
No, it's not. It's happening to the profile. But if you, like if you're updating the name, you're not updating the, for example, that name. You're updating the profile name. You have nothing to do with the index, right? The index is still called whatever index name, whatever service it is. But when you're updating, if you want to like synchronize or index the index, right, or process the indexing, then you're basically saying grab the data and use this profile to identify the index and then send that data to that index.
Yeah, it's called resetting. I'm not resetting a profile. I'm not resetting, synchronizing a profile. I'm not exporting a profile. Oh, maybe I could export a profile. I'm just doing operations on the index. It's not initializing a profile, it's initializing an index. So I still think index profile is the class representing the index. There is nothing else in the system that is representing the index. It is index profile, the class. It's just, I remember this conversation. We were looking for all the prefixes, the suffixes we could imagine that would be like, okay, it's really an index, but we can't use the word index. Even at that point, I said, just to using index equals whatever, so we can still use index because index is the best thing. Okay, and it was just about indexing or updating instead of synchronize because we are not synchronizing anything. And this thing starts a background job that says process records async to load all the remaining content item records, I should, to index them, but the profile. Indexing service. Execute after kind of request process records. This is the old thing. Named indexing service. Good. Oh, we type with your name indexing class. Name indexing service. Store. Because you want to store the list of indexes that we manage. Let's go back index profile. And text manager. This is the one. This is the one for Elasticsearch, and so on. Process record. So index the records in all these indexes. And then so this one, we could have two of them concurrently, right? There is always this background one. And this background one, when it's done, it's just, okay, it's just one job, like when this thing exits, okay, it exits, like there is nothing to do. Okay, good. So it's like an ephemeral job. It's not like a background task that runs all the time waiting for new content items. We don't have such things. Don't we have such things actually? Every minute. Oh no, this is a background. That is a cron job that will start one of these every minute. That's it. And this is ephemeral. So it looks for everything it has to do and then say, okay, I'm done. And then the cron job will start a new one. And this is also triggered by the deferred action. You see the same one?
Say that again.
This method, the deferred thing that we do when we create a content item.
As far as I know, there's
another
thing. There's a content item handler, which is also starting indexing.
But not using this method.
Correct.
That's weird, no? Shouldn't it be doing the same thing?
I thought it's weird too, but that's the best I can come up with.
So we have this kind of code here because this has to be the same code inside to run.
Not in that one, because that one we already have the content items. Yeah. So we're just indexing whatever content items we know of. We don't need to grab them from we don't need to fetch them. We don't need to depend on the indexing process or anything like that.
You know what's the name of the method that we defer in book? We index the thing.
What?
The name of the method that we invoke when something is indexed if I update the content item.
It's in the indexing content handler or something
Content,
like that.
yeah. Content indexing content handler, I think.
Oh, it's a content handler, so we detect. Okay, so we detect when the content item is updated. Oh, crap. Here we say, okay, it has been published or created or updated or whatever. So we say add deferred task, which is there, which says we have the content items. And we say index async. Then you bet we have exactly the same code. Has to. Part of it. Okay. And it has to load to do the same thing because this thing here it results in here, the store, and then for each store, for each index manager, for each profile, wherever we want to save this content item. Provider name, iDocument index manager. This one supports multiple sources. This one knows about content items. Okay. Then we'll have the same thing mentioned. Virtual. Cool. So we have a job that does it. Interesting. Okay, cool. Synchronize button. I still this synchronize button. Yeah, it could be. So what are the others we have? Rebuild. Yeah, what was the difference between reset and rebuild?
So reset will reset it. Will reset the counter, but the rebuild will delete the index completely and create it. Yep.
So reset, we say there are 10 items in the index right now. Just reprocess them. So we are not removing the items from. We are just going back in time and say, okay, let's re-index them, but keep them in the index. We just update them. Rebuild is like, let's clear everything and we start from scratch. So during the rebuild process or the update process or the synchronize process, there is nothing in the index, they are just rebuilding. Okay. And synchronize is like, yeah, update would be better in this case, I believe. It's like, take anything that is new, that is not in the index, and add them to the index. Or delete them from the index. It's ready update. I understand the synchronize. I understand the synchronize. It's just hard to understand to me. Okay, so I get it, what it does now.
Should I change it to like index data?
I would prefer, but that's just me that was confused. So if people prefer synchronize instead of update index, but I like update, looks to me. No, it's not good either that I've done that. Okay, and I forgot about the slight distinction between reset and rebuild. So yeah. Do we have the let me see. Reset this will restart the indexing of all content items. Okay, the index will be repeated.
I think it's probably resume indexing, because that's exactly what it's doing. Resume indexing.
It does.
Because it doesn't start from the bottom.
But it didn't stop either, right? It's just like, because the cron job will do that. So it's like update now.
Yeah, update like, indexing.
Like pull. So like, it's like, when you're on repo, you say now, pull now, or fetch now, or that's one, index now, or update. Oh yeah, that's why I'm saying update, but it doesn't matter. Synchronize, to me, it was added differently. So I understand why in this case Synchronize will work. It's just has too much meaning, not just what it's doing right now. Okay, well, I'll let you think about it, whatever you want to do. There is a feedback. Oh, it was called index before. It is it. This one. The thing is just renaming index to index profile everywhere, the variables, because the type changed. So again, this is weird that we have to build a custom JSON converter for something. What have you done in it that needs a custom JSON converter? Or is it for compatibility? Index map. That's so weird. Or is it because you have some JSON containing JSON as a raw string?
Because the Elasticsearch index map, that one requires us in serializer it using the serializer that they provide, the Elastic.
Okay. This thing here. It should be automatic. They don't support system text JSON.
They do, but they have their own converters and they're all internal. So we would have to use their own serializer in order to serialize the mapping.
This is their class?
No, but it contains a property from their class.
Which one is their class?
Look at the Elasticsearch index map. Yeah, look at that. That's our class, but it has a property of a type that belongs to them. See that that type mapping on line 12? That's Elastic type, Elasticsearch type. So that has to be indexed, or it has to be serialized using their serializer.
I don't agree. So I believe it didn't work for you, but I feel it's weird because here that's the generated one. Where is the type mapping? So I will go there and I will say type mapping. Type mapping. Okay, this is a converter, but where is the type? Variant, there is a class. So where did they put that? Yeah, partial class. It's still generating. Oh, there are two files. Okay, this one still not generating. So where is it coming from? This class is public, and this class has an attribute. This attribute is internal, I understand, but this is the converter, so system text user should still be able to use it.
Yeah, but when you make it a property and you try to convert it, it wouldn't work. You would have to use that. Yeah.
So that's something I would try because that.
Yeah, try because I thought the same. I thought it should work. That's the whole idea behind the attribute. You should just find it and you should just work.
Yep, okay. Why I did it. Then this one, let's go to the next one. Use page when listing terms, not PageSlim. What? That was on purpose. No, that's really that was the design. We don't want the pager. We want PageSlim.
I think with the data you have in the pager, you can create a PageSlim, but not the other way around.
Sure. So, and there is a reason why. Why do we have PageSlim? Do you know why we have PageSlim and not pager?
To avoid having to get the count?
Exactly. Because that's a performance issue to use the pager. Because if you have lots of content, the pager will always try to count everything and it will create a scan on the database. So for our small recipes, when we display a blog post, that's fine. But as soon as you have something more elaborate with lots of content items, the store or whatever, it will get slow. That's why we don't want to use count when we don't need to use count. So these pages, they were using PageSlim on purpose.
And what happens if you absolutely have to have a pager in your project? What do you do at that point?
Good question. I will answer what happens if someone absolutely cannot use a count because the system will be unresponsive. So should we fix it differently by providing an option? Like saying, not the same kind of filter you made, but maybe a setting somewhere somehow to say use a pager or use a PageSlim so people can decide.
Yeah, we could make it into a setting, sure.
That should be a
because at the end of the day, we generate dynamic shape. So the shape could be driven based on the settings.
Yeah, but it's not just that you see here you're passing the pager. Maybe it's not that you need to pass, maybe something else.
Yeah,
the page number, not the PageSlim or the pager, or maybe everything is the PageSlim or iPager, something that is common to both with the current page.
Yeah.
The current count. So we need to.
The PageSlim has before and after, and the pager has page number.
Yeah, you just have yeah, right. So there is not even a page number in the PageSlim. It's just an index, like a number, an ID after that thing. That's why. Because in Orchard 1, we had this issue. People, like they said, okay, in my site, I have 1 million items. Like I have products, I have 1 million items. And if I create a page displaying 10 items per 10 items, it doesn't work because it has to count and to scan the database with the 1 million thing to get the count. So people were stuck. So that's why we have the PageSlim to just say, no, you just want to go to the next page. Then filter, if you want to see less things with less pages, then add the filter to your page. But these taxonomies, they don't have filters. So yeah, that's the design of these taxonomy pages. Maybe we need something with a setting, or let people create their own page in this case, with their own views with pager. So that I will discuss that, like that's a bold decision to say, oh, let's use pagers because we already designed it the way we wanted the page to be here and not the pager. Improves waiting for indexing to be done in it. Okay, so that's better. Wait for a standing default path. Same. By context. Test. Oh, you're waiting for. Oops, okay. Okay. Wait for outstanding default tasks. Which were? Still.
No, it doesn't. And now I just noticed another issue called that is logging a lot of the errors. It cannot perform this operation because the shell scope for tenant blah is already terming, which is another weird thing with the shells.
That's good because that's a good message to understand what's wrong and what's happening. Probably.
It is, yeah. It's a good message, but it's just a bad thing. I feel like when we create, every test should create its own site. And I think we might be creating a static site and everyone is using it. So if we have,
yeah, I did this change locally to avoid that. Like,
are they
to avoid what?
In this case?
To avoid having a static for every test and to separate them out.
You did that already?
Yeah, I can.
Because I'm
that.
looking. Well, because so I'm looking at the site, which is the Orchard test fixture. It's a static.
Yeah.
So we create that once and it's shared. Yeah.
And it holds everything in memory.
What do you mean with this? Because I heard two words which are
search site context, and you'll see what I'm looking at.
What I heard is it's a feature and it's a static. This is two different. It should not be a static feature. So it's a site context. It's not a fixture.
So look at the line 16.
Okay, there is a site fixture. Okay.
Correct, and that's static. So all the tests they end up using the same thing.
So a fixture. Yeah, yes and no, because so a fixed, well, be careful because maybe this is not the thing from XUnit, but a fixture in XUnit is like a dependent service that the test will require before starting, and they will get a single instance. So maybe it's not the same thing here.
Yeah, it's mixed up. It's not the XUnit thing.
Okay.
So the problem is that every test is using its own shell, but it's also it's not really separated. Because
so if you think about it, when we create a site,
is always the same in our test.
You have multiple tests trying to write the same exact thing at the same exact time, and then there's a
using the same slide. Yeah. And here is an example of a fixture. It's called fixture. It's async lifetime. We don't care. But a user, the XUnit test here will say, I need an exam fixture. So anything that will run, every test here that we run, will get the same instance of this thing. So the unit test will just wait until this one is instantiated, then inject it inside class. So each test gets the same thing. And what it represents in this case, it's a custom process that is running. So we start it once, and when it's done, we use it. So your site is the same?
But in our case, we are testing against something in the server, and we are reusing a different one from another test, and this might interfere. So we should start a separate server for every test.
What is this thing? Portrait test fixture. Can't find it as
that's a startup for the server.
So George, when you did that fix the problems?
No.
I mean, I'm sure you would have had another issue, but not.
The problem
I had
was that I was trying to reproduce some issues that were these flocky tests, and I had to repeat them several hundred times until I get the error. And this was just using so much memory because everything was held in memory in the statics. That was my issue.
Because that PR that I just submitted, that one should fix one of the issues we're facing, which is trying to update a document in the deferred shell.
Yeah.
So I solved that by getting rid of the document manager for indexing, period.
Yeah, the problem is that those are used concurrently.
Yeah.
Currently, yeah.
It's good that that's something that is called a site context, but it has static field. What is the context? It's like, yeah, I would expect it to be non-static, and then if you want a static site context, use a static site context. But this thing should be specific to the context class.
So you agree that here it should not be a static?
Well, seems like, but then maybe you want a static site context in the same issue. So I don't know I don't know about this test enough to understand what should be static or not in this case. So anything that is static is usually a big issue in web apps. That feels weird. Or if you want, and as I showed with the actual fixture rank test is maybe, well, these are also context. Okay, so these are context things. Okay, it's like it's weird. Like everything is in. Yeah, that feels weird because I see blog context. Are there any other agency context? They're all the same thing, so they are all using the same static, but there are two different sites, two different tenants at least, because that's weird.
Yeah, there are tenants created in the site context if you call initialize async. This just creates another tenant in the static side.
And then it's fine to have the same iShell host?
Yes. And the shell settings manager is also a singleton for all tests, and everything is held in memory.
Okay.
For all tests. So this is good for performance, I think, because we only have one server to start. But
probably. And it should also, and if it matches portraits lifetime, like there is a single shell host, a single shell manager, single HTTP context episode, and that's fine. It should work. Maybe it's just showing issues in the code, and that's why the test failed, because there is an issue somewhere, not in the test itself.
Probably.
Maybe. More logging to understand what's happening, guys.
Yep.
Like we should debug log to all the shell thing, the shell events when the shell is created, count -1, count +1. We can run the CI test with the level debug, at least one test, just one PR, just to see what's happening when it proposes, how it happened to be a mistake.
Yes.
So blog post test. There's a new blog context. Yeah, so the test will always use the same static thing. So you would expect it to say, I want a blog context for all these tests, but just this one. So you have to, if you have another class, you get another site. Interesting. Oh, but yes, so if you inherit from site context, yes, you get the same instance. Okay. If it was generic, it would be a different instance, but it's not. So you get the same instance if you inherit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We continued. This one adds a new options and mapping to settings to be able to change Jint settings using options. It's not binding to settings, so just options pattern, so that any code can change the options for Jint. Okay. And by the way, this thing is now reused, which means it will be invoked only once, so it will be better. Property merge entity properties in indexing. Okay, I'll just you. Default Sqlite cache mode, because this one is not recommended by Sqlite, so let's use this one. So we don't share the same cache. Each connection has its own cache. So less table locked. Probably that's what they say. It's AzureAISearch. That's the model. Not used. Oh, it's just moved. Okay. But it's not used. Oh, because I don't show everything. It's used. You see, it was nice. That's why you change all the names. Creating.
No, I
good.
didn't. I fixed the problem.
Creating is good.
That
Oh,
should be in
different one.
initializing.
Okay. Okay. So creating is still there. Okay. Well, that's bad. It's better to check multiple times until it's ready than say, oh, check next time in 50 seconds. I don't like this one. It's like a local change that went in the PR. That should not be it. And the break was removed.
Yeah, because we keep going until either we time out or a cancellation comes in or we have no more shells.
But still 50 seconds. Like something went wrong, let's wait 50 seconds. That's good.
It's microseconds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was like 10 seconds will even take seconds.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, 50,
that's microseconds.
Yeah, it could be more than that then. Okay, go crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. In this case, it keeps going, maximum of 60 seconds.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Yes. To be continued. So if I find the time, I'll check the type mapping. And this one looks interesting. Awesome. Well, time is time. Thanks, everyone. See you on Thursday.
Thank you.
See you.
See you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.